Well, hello everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our Meet the Gies Faculty series. Today we're featuring a creativity expert. Jeff Loewenstein is a professor of business administration who joined the Gies College of Business in 2011. His research interests include, as I mentioned earlier, creativity, negotiation, and ethical decision making. So, Jeff, welcome.
It's wonderful to be here. Thanks so much, John.
And it's great to have you. What was it initially that said, I want to be an academic for my life's work? What was it? What bell went off for you?
There are two stories here, and I was in a painting studio. So I was taking an art class. I was in a painting studio, loved doing art, really enjoyed it, but it was 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and I had been there for hours and hours and hours, and I was doing utterly terribly. I mean, just miserably. And a painting professor comes in to turn out the lights or something, and he saw that I was still there. He's like, "What are you still doing here? How's it going?" And I said, "It's terrible. It's awful. I got nothing." And he looks at me and he says, "Oh, that's great." And I did what you just did, right? Which is, "Are you kidding me?" And and he said to me, "Oh, you're getting somewhere new." And that was such a powerful moment for me because it meant, oh, it's not easy, it's frustrating, it's confusing. And yet, if you want to get somewhere new, you might have to have some of those moments. So at that point, I fell down the rabbit hole of how do people learn? How do people think something new? How do you be creative? How do you get somewhere that you currently can't imagine? And so that launched me into a study of human thinking and learning. And so I went in the same direction everyone goes to. I went to study preschool children and how they learn, because preschoolers are utter sponges. And so I crawled around on the floors of preschools, and that time in the painting studio and time in the preschools was my preparation for teaching executives. And that's what did it.
I love that story. Now, what secrets of creativity have you uncovered in your career now?
So, um, secrets, yeah, it is hard, right? But no, I've learned about creativity from many different places, and the two places that I've learned about it the most, honestly, one is analogy. So I am a student of analogy. That was my graduate research and the early part of my career. How is this like that? And I don't mean, exam questions. A spoon is to a foot. I mean, a solar system, an atom is like the solar system. I mean, a bank is like a supermarket, right? Something that totally shakes you up and makes you go, wait, I never thought of it that way. That leads to a whole new way of thinking, right? So analogy was a core for me of realizing, wow, there's a whole new way to look at things. And I've done a collection of work on analogy and learning and creativity over the years. But the second piece that really hit me was, oh, I need to change my understanding of what creativity is. I need to help you change what you think creativity is. So most
Mhm.
people think creativity happens to them, right? You think about it, all the metaphors we use, lightning struck, a light went off, right? It's something that happens to me. I have no control. And so shifting that to what can you do to get it under your control, that was another big insight for me and resulted in a book I ended up writing and the germ of the course I end up teaching at Gies, which is how can I help you articulate your current understanding so you can really get in there and change it.
So, what can you teach me,
Excellent.
Professor?
Excellent. Yeah. So here's a really simple
I'm
one.
open. I'm
Yeah,
open to
yeah,
you.
excellent. So here's a really simple one, right? So often when we get stuck, when we feel rigid, we feel like, oh, I wish I had a better way to think about it, right? That's, I think, when we need our creativity most, right? There's got to
True.
be a better way. There must be something I'm missing. And so two really simple things you can do. One is to say, all right, get out of your own role, get out of your own self, and be someone else. So if I've got my professor hat on, maybe I should be a parent. If I'm a, producer, maybe I should be a consumer. If I'm old, maybe I should be young. If I'm new, I should be old, right? So can I get into my head into a different role? Can I be you? Can I be a friend? Can I be an enemy? Can I be someone else? And the
So
second
change your lens.
Change your lens. Exactly. Exactly. Change your lens. Be someone else. Take on a different role. And that idea of changing your self-concept of, your concept of yourself is really instrumental because it helps shake you up and get you to see through new eyes.
Hmm.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
That's the famous quote from Marcel Proust, right? The true voyage of discovery is not seeing new landscapes, it's having new eyes. And that's what it is, right? That's absolutely genius. And that's what it is. Can I put you in somebody else's head, shoes, eyes, whatever, so that you can see the world in a new
What other tricks have you discovered along the way here that you can
way?
impart?
Yeah, get yourself out of your space. So it's very common to be in formal places. So where I'm at work, I'm supposed to be serious and efficient and disciplined and
Hmm.
on message and on target. And that leads you to want to perform well and be efficient and say smart things, not stupid things, and say old things, not new things. And so what you need to do is get into a space where you can be imaginative, playful, wrong, experimental, etc. So why do you find yourself having the great idea at coffee, over drinks, out of the office, at the offsite? How come it never hits you in the boardroom? How come it never, right? Because you can't be playful there. You have to be on task and efficient and be validated and affirmed and feasible and useful and all those other good things, but not good for creativity. Those are things that prevent us from having the first new idea because the first new idea almost always doesn't sound good. It sounds weird or useless or wrong or foolish or cheating or wrong or, all those kinds of things. And instead, you need to give yourself a playful enough space and permissive enough space that you can have it and see what happens.
Now, Jeff, your PhD is in cognitive psychology from Northwestern. What'd you do your dissertation on? I'm curious.
My dissertation was on how preschool children learn abstract
Ah,
ideas. So
yeah.
we think of the cornerstone of human intelligence is patterns, right? We can find a new pattern, a new cause, a new way to fit the world together, right? So these big ideas, whatever those might be, whether it's, gravity or corporate governance or, whatever the innovation idea. Right now, today, AI, right? All those big ideas are patterns. They're ways of putting the world together that we didn't have previously. And so the question was, how do you learn patterns? And we went to preschool children because adults have something to fall back on. If they don't know, they'll fill in with something they do know. But the preschoolers, they don't have anything to fill in with, so they'll just give up or tell you something. So I was studying with preschool children, and what we did is we gave them a map and we showed them where a toy was, and then we put them in a space with a model or a real room, and we let them go find it. And the question is, could they make that analogy between one space and another space? And that was our model for could kids draw an analogy. And then what we did is we tried to help them and what enabled them to be successful at that task. And there were two things that enabled them to be successful at that task. And the first is language. If I give you language to grasp the core relationships that make up the pattern, all of a sudden you can be really, really good at finding patterns. And so
Hmm.
why do we in business use jargon? Because we're helping you see a pattern you can't see otherwise. And the jargon is a way of getting you there. Now, I know jargon can also be a problem and all of that, but the good jargon, the good stuff that you really need to learn to be an expert, that we don't think of as jargon, but just part of being smart at something. That's what it is, whether it's skateboarding or cooking or business. We have jargon, and that jargon is to help us grasp the core patterns in our world. So if we give you jargon, it helps.
The first part of your formula is learn
Yeah.
by doing,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. The idea that the learning that matters is fact learning, the capital of Alaska is, that is not the kind of learning that matters. It's, maybe good for trivia shows or games, but it's not going to help you do good in the world. And what helps you do good in the world is actually understanding how to accomplish something and how to think through something deeply, and that requires you to understand it, and you can't understand it unless you're doing it. No one learns to ride a bike by reading a manual or getting a lecture. And somehow we think that you could learn how to run a business by hearing a lecture or reading a book. And that's just not how it works.
Right. Now, the one of the courses you teach is fostering creative thinking. And what I really like about this course is that above and beyond teaching people how to be more creative, you also teach that course how to help teams be creative, how to evaluate the ideas you generate, and then how to sell them by effective pitching, um, which are all elements of, frankly, being an effective manager, effective executive, an effective
Yeah. Yeah.
team member that goes beyond simply trying to be creative. So,
Yep.
so it's almost to me that your course is teaching people that maybe being creative isn't even enough, that you got to persuade others of an idea, of a position, and rally some sort of consensus around it. Am I right?
You are 100% right. It's leadership part two in a way, or leadership part seven. But it's definitely on that track. And as I hinted, most of the new ideas we have aren't very good at their birth, right? They're not quite
Sure.
fully formed. You can't quite appreciate them. You're kind of excited, but it could all be wrong. And so if you don't have these other sides, then yeah, you can't do much with it. And furthermore, if you are running the organization or the team or whatever, you want your team members to be creative. And if they aren't creative, then that's kind of on you. So it's not just about you being creative, it's you creating a space for other people to be creative and not just when they come up with a new idea, telling them that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No. At which point you will never get another creative idea ever again, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's why we put it in context, and that's why the course is so broad. I realized very quickly in teaching creativity that if you don't put it in context, people are too afraid to use it, for one. And a lot of our time, some of our time is spent generating ideas ourselves, but a lot more of our time is spent helping other people develop their creative ideas and selling ideas so that people want to, implement them and all that kind of thing. So yes, it's putting that full cycle into the course that I think makes it workable. And what I love is that the students come in feeling like I'm not the one who's creative. I hire the creatives; they work for me, right? Or something like that. And then what they walk out as they feel like creative leaders. I lead creativity. I can be creative, but more importantly, I can enable those around me to be creative. And that's like, great, I'm done. Yeah,
Yeah.
go, change the world. That's what I want.
I could tell in our brief discussion here that you are terrific in the classroom. And I wonder, from your perspective, what do you like most about teaching Gies students?
I love the connection, and I love that they are with us so they can make a difference in the world. They want to have an impact. They want to do great things, and they're here so that they can do bigger things, and we can raise the bar for them, and they can step into that and go do incredible things. And so, what a great environment to be in to teach, right? They're not here to show me they're already incredible people. They're not here to dominate each other. They're here to get as much as they can out of the experience. And my job is to help develop their potential. So I mean, that's all you can ask for as a
That's really
professor.
true.
Right. And so, can I teach topics that I think matter a lot and will help them improve their potential a ton? And can, match that with a group of students that are there to develop their potential? I mean, yeah, you can see why I'm energized by it.
Now, Jeff, what do you find most challenging about teaching students this subject?
Yeah, the hard part about is how can we open our doors wider, right? I mean, that's the hard part, right? How can we have more people involved? And creativity, the hard part is I want to sort of talk to every student one on one and have that conversation about their individual ideas. But instead, what we end up doing is having those conversations with one another, and that way we can scale the excitement and enthusiasm and engagement with the topic. So that's the hard part. I want to be everywhere. I want to be I want to be in every breakout room. I want to be in every chat. But no, that's the hard part. The hard part is how do you open your doors wider? Because so many people would benefit from this and want and have the capability to do well at this. And so our challenge is just how can we reach even more people who are wanting to be reached?
Now, Jeff, I'm thinking that if you were not a business school professor, You might very well be a psychologist. Am I right?
Indeed. That's
Well,
my
you'd be
dream.
a very positive psychologist.
Indeed, indeed, human flourishing, absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. And I probably would not be a painter, I can tell you that much. I learned that early.
But you're far more a poet than a quant, I can tell you.
True, true. No, absolutely. No, I do thrive in the human interaction and in the human engagement. That's where I'm happiest. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm excited when the new data come in from the research project,
I'm sure.
but that's ultimately because we've learned something that, hopefully we can then go use and apply and make people, even better at what they do.
The other thing about what you teach and what you've dedicated your life to is something that will never become unimportant. And in fact, in a world of AI, doing more of the grunt work will
Yes.
become increasingly important and more differentiated, frankly, in terms of the contributions that humans can make with machines. Am I right?
100%. Yeah, completely agree. I think this is the part that we're seeing more and more. If the AI can take over the algorithmic work, the work that we can already know what needs to be done and we just have to do it, well, then the robots and the algorithms can come in and get it done. So then we have to figure out what work should we be doing and what are the new things that we could be doing that we currently can't imagine. So yes, that's in the realm of imagination, fiction, poetry, if you will. And it's not that we can't have quantifications of predictions and so forth, but I think a lot of this is, can we make, science fiction into reality? Can we make, any other kind of fiction into reality? And that is the creative side of it. That's the envisioning, the imagining, the theorizing, however you want to frame it, right? It's about bringing a new idea to life. And yeah, that's what I've spent my career thinking about and trying to teach, is how to encourage you to have that new idea and think something you've never thought before and, right, let it fly.
Now, Jeff, I'm sure you've toyed around with AI already,
Indeed.
and I wonder what your first impressions are of the technology and
Yeah.
how it affects all that we do.
Yeah, I would say the biggest opportunity that I see in my little corner of the world for AI is helping get us out of our own viewpoint, right? So if I can have the AI help me be you or be someone else and not be myself, that's amazing, right? So I can not have to do all the heavy lifting myself. But the chat partner can be, right? Let's try a different viewpoint. Let's try a different role identity person. So that's in my little corner of the world what I'm most excited by. But I'm also really interested in the idea of coaching and the idea of just asking maybe some of probably helpful questions at probably a time when you need a new invigoration or you need a reality check or you need to back off. I think there are a lot of opportunities when we get too tunnel visioned and too narrow and too channeled and too stuck or stressed or limited in our thinking and understanding and appreciating. And a reminder would be really, really helpful. But there are so many uses for the technology. And I really do think it's going to encourage us to be much more thoughtful because we can leave the mundane stuff to the machine.
So true. Well, Jeff, it's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, John.
And thank you. All right. We've been listening to Jeff Loewenstein, a professor of business administration at the Gies College of Business. He is an expert in creativity, negotiation, and ethical decision making. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. Tune in for more in our Meet the Gies Faculty series. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching.